Hello, my name is Josh, if you didn't already know, and I am the main mind behind NOSSAFLEX. Excuse the microphone that's right here in the frame. Hello. It's the best way that I could get it pointing like at my mouth and without holding it. So it's gonna remain there. As long as you see my face, I don't think it really matters because I'm gonna edit this anyway. As the title of this video suggests, we're making an app. First of all, what is NOSSAFLEX? It's just a simple naming convention that was birthed from film photography. I, as a photographer, have gotten into film in the last couple of years, and one thing that I do like about digital photography is that you get your settings, you get your metadata, you got your camera info, you've got your shutter speed, your aperture, yada yada yada, and you get to see that when you import that into Lightroom. Frustrating thing is, for film photography, you don't get that. You get that with something like a Nikon F6, which I've got, which prints. This is a Nikon F6. Looks very similar to the modern day Nikons. And that actually prints the metadata in between each frame, which I can barely read, I don't even understand it. You can also attach an external reader, which will save it as like a text file. So you can do that as well. It's like cumbersome and annoying. So what was the easiest way to do it? Well, it was to write it down. And this is actually the book that I used to write it down. And it looks something like that. Just a bunch of pages with numbers going all the way down the page. And NOSSAFLEX is the order that I write that in. Number, shutter speed, aperture, focal length, exposure, and then I put a little description just so I know that it's the right file. And then, that's not all, because I don't like referring back to a book. I don't want to have to go through all these pages and go, okay, where's this, where's that? Instead, I actually translate these numbers onto the file name of the scans that I get back, because the scans that we get back from labs are, well, they're just named for the lab's reference. They're not actually like important to you or me. So that's what it is. And I came up with the system, I was using it, I'm like, well, I think people, there are at least some other people out there that would use this system. And if it was more widely available and it was more automated, I think people would use it. It's not the next big thing in photography. It's a small little niche idea that I think has some merit. So, how did I come up with this system? Like why, how, what leads me to this? Like I come from film and television and media management. I do like creative stuff like edit and direct and that stuff, but my first proper job was in media management. And media managing, for those that are unaware, is essentially managing media. It's like, I worked for a company that had like something like 60 employees, had like 30 editors. So all of the media has to go through one central hub, the media management team. They process all the footage, make sure it's all right in the right formats, the right frame rates, all that stuff. And that it's labeled correctly as well, and then that goes out to the server, which the other editors all grab from, and they put it in their own and they put it in folders that we've set up for them and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I'm kind of like very systematic, and I like organization, and the more organization I can get, the better. To me, doing that job, the thing that I learned the most was that file names are so handy and so important. Like you can get so much information from them. Like, okay, I've run this like NOSSAFLEX thing across I've run the idea across a couple people, not a couple, like photographers and stuff. And they go, well, there's already metadata systems out there. Why don't you just use those? It's like, yeah, but you need something to read that. I want people to just have a file name and go, at a glance, I know exactly what my settings were, what number this was on the roll. I understand metadata is like a thing, but at the same time, that's for like the next level if you want that, which I've got plans for, we'll talk about that later. The file name is super important, and if that doesn't give you any information about what it is, then it's being wasted. So that's where this idea comes from, because I think that at the moment file names are being wasted for film photography scans. I think we can do a better job with it. And the people that are motivated like me that want something a little bit extra with their film photography, it slows me down even more because I have to write down the settings. I even just jot it down on my notes on the phone, which is where the idea for the app came. I think we can make our own metadata systems. The app is going to be super basic. I don't want it to be too complicated. I'm making it myself. I'm not a developer in any way. I'm not a programmer. I had like one class, which was like 30 or 40 minutes in high school. And so now we're in this situation, this time that we're in. I have a lot of time. So I said, screw it, I'm just gonna do it. I bought a Mac laptop. That's what I was gonna pay someone to do it. The developer that I had couldn't do it. So I'm like, you know what? I'll buy a Mac computer and I'll learn how to do it myself. So I'm building this thing as we go along. I think it's coming along quite nicely. There's gonna be some images on the screen. And because it is such a basic app, it just needs to look nice, it needs to flow, it needs to work, and I'm quite impressed with how I've come with it so far. If there are any developers that see this and you think this is looking like shit, I don't blame you. But I'm happy with how it's going along. The hardest thing has been actually the UI and the graphic interface. It's like not hard to do, it just takes time to actually construct and make. The most important thing is actually having a design for the app ready to go so that you have something to reference, something to make. I kind of don't have that. I'm kind of doing the design and the building of it at the same time, which is kind of a bit frustrating, but I'm getting through it. And I'm also like not going too hard on some things so that I can actually just get the thing together. So yeah, the most difficult thing is, like I said, not the UI, but actually getting things to a database and then reading back from the database. I have managed to implement logins. You can't sign up yet. I have to put that in manually in the database, but once that's put in, you can actually log in and you're given your own user ID, which then you can input your own data into, which goes to the server. And if you log out, it's not going to be there. And if you log in another device, it'll be there. So that actually took a lot. I'm using Google's data storage Firestore for anyone that it's not important. But everything's it's working. It's actually functioning like the app should. I can put in the number, shutter speed, and all that. Currently, they're all just text fields, so you got to fill them in manually. That's originally I just wanted to I want to have the numbers like autofill and stuff. I think that's for it's more important just to get the thing actually functioning and working and getting it to people so they can test it. And I'm super happy with where it's going. It's finally actually coming together. It's not just a click and it like animates and does this. It's actually going to a database. It's storing data. It's readable data. And yes, I'm very happy about that. So the app is coming along quite well. When is the app coming? So it's going to come, fingers crossed, this year. There's no reason why it shouldn't come this year. I really want to do it before 2021. It is a basic app. The developer that I spoke to said it would take him about 40 hours to make the iOS app. So for someone that's never done it, I'm gonna 5 times that number, so 200 hours, which is like not really a lot. And I'm kind of getting the hang of making the UI and everything. There's things I'm searching up. Like I still don't know how to do half the things that I want to do. So I'm just learning as I go along, implementing stuff, watching tutorials, and piecing this thing together. I'm quite surprised with myself that I'm actually making this thing. So there's that. And then I want to implement, just like little fun things into the app. Like I want to be able to, people to select color themes and stuff. Whether that comes in the first iteration of the app, I have no idea. But yeah, anyway. So hopefully this year, that's the goal. That's what I want to happen. It'd be great to get it off the ground and just get people using it. It's for free. It's not a paid app or anything. It's a glorified notes app. So, but you'll be able to export your data from that, from the app. That's the whole point of it. There's no point just having it stored there. You're going to be able to export that to like an email, which you can just like rename your files and stuff after. So yeah, the real challenges are, one, that I'm doing this myself and I'm not a developer. I have no experience. So that's the biggest hurdle at the moment. And then 2 is actually just getting it out there, getting people to use it and just finding the right audience. I know it's not a big audience. It's a very niche audience, but I think there's an audience out there. And I might as well, because I'm talking about it, the bigger picture for this is like, not just stopping with the app. I'd love to make a companion desktop app and then also bring this to Android and Windows and stuff. At the moment I'm just making it on Mac just because I have an iPhone. The biggest thing that I want to do is then get the desktop app running, so that you could actually log in on the desktop and then choose which role you're referencing, and then that'll automatically rename your film scans, and then you can have like a searchable database and stuff, and everything you input into the app will be searchable, just stuff like that. I think it's a really cool idea to have your own searchable database for your own film photography that only takes 4 seconds at a time to create. Like sitting down and putting in metadata for all of these files at once, like you gotta do the number, the shutter speed, aperture, focal length, exposure, and then a description for each photo. Trust me, I worked in media management. I've done stuff like that before, and it's mind-numbing when you have to sit there and do so many at once. But when you're doing one shot at a time, you're doing it in the moment. Over time, you build up this database, and you don't even realize it. And then it's, well, I want to be able to make it 100% searchable, so you could search for trees, park, people, portrait, whatever, and all those little descriptions that you've put into your photos, you'll be able to, like, you'll have your own database. And that's, to me, that's really cool. It's, I don't know if it's what people want, but nonetheless, I think that's really cool. But once the desktop app is ready to go, I can actually start talking to some film labs here. I live in Melbourne, Australia. I can talk to some film lab about actually implementing this for customers of theirs. The idea generally that I'm thinking about is the phone app will always be for free. So you'll always be able to use this system for free. I don't want to put, like, it's just an idea. You can write it down in a notebook. So essentially it's going to be for free. The desktop app, I'm planning to have that as a paid like extension. If you want to be able to do more, if you want to be able to have this database, we need to do more work in order to get that too. That's a bit more custom. So that'll be a paid thing. But since you'll be able to use the app for free, we'll be able to implement this into Film Labs, and Film Labs will be able to access your data and rename your film scans before they get back to you. That's the idea, and that is very, very cool to me. And Film Labs are interested in this as well. So if I could get that system going, oh, that'd be amazing. I'd love that so much. But that's the bigger picture, and that's what gets me really excited. I mean, the app is still getting, I don't even know why I'm doing it. I just feel like I have to do it. It's something that I want, and it doesn't exist in the way that I would like it to. So I feel like I have to make it because there's at least one other person out there who will like it, and that's all the motivation I need. That's the app, that's the update, that's where it's at. I don't know how much I'm gonna get done the next week, but I'm just taking it day by day as it goes. I'll do a couple of hours a day. I'm just like trying to figure stuff out, I'll play around, see if I can change this, change that. But that's the app, that's where it's going, that's how it's coming along. It's just a casual video. I wanna try and stick to like one a week-ish, I'm not really sure. But I want to be more frequent, and I want to be more casual. I did start making like this Hasselblad video. I had these like nice shots in it, and then I started editing it, and it just kind of wasn't working. And I put so much time into it, I'm like, it just doesn't matter. Just put the camera on, chat about what is actually happening. I'm still trying to make content that you think needs to be out there. Anyway, make sure to follow NOSSAFLEX on Instagram, because it's where we're posting. It's kind of where we're being like posting some photos, posting some like how the system works and stuff. Otherwise, here's always a good place. This is where I'll be talking to the 4 people who will watch this video. So if you're one of those 4 people, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you. And I'll be back soon with some other videos. These won't all be just updates about the app. I'm a photographer, I do things, so I got other stuff to talk about. Thank you, and I'll catch you in the next one.